Hello, everybody. This is the Dog H. Weber with another edition of Weber on Sports on a Monday, August the 6th, 2012. Boy, Seneca County got lucky, didn't they, on that major storm warning yesterday. A lot of the areas up in Rochester and around the surrounding area of where we live got crushed. The sky looked really scary about mid-afternoon yesterday, but it didn't hit us, so we were pretty fortunate here in Seneca County to miss that cruel weather that dumped a lot of rain and a lot of scary lightning on a lot of people, but we were lucky. I was going to open up the show on a Monday morning talking about what are we going to do when the 100,000 people come into town starting tonight for the 2012 Farm Days. Some 100,000 people usually come into this area, and of course it gets underway tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, and closes out on Thursday out at the Rodman Lot Farm. It's a big event. I was thinking, how are we ever going to survive in the town of Seneca Falls when Cayuga Street is kind of shut down? Well, as luck would have it, I ran into a construction worker today before I did this show, and he tells me they're paving Cayuga Street as I speak, and it's supposed to be open tonight. You talk about timing. I don't know if they timed that project to end and get it ready for the farmers and all the businesses associated with farming. Pretty amazing. So what we hear is that tomorrow morning when you get up, Cayuga Street is all paved, all done, and it'll be open to the traffic. Man, talk about great timing. We want to welcome all the farmers coming into town, and I know a lot of people in the area go out and check it out. It's quite the exhibits out there. So good luck to the Rodman Lot folks, and good luck to all of you people coming to town. We welcome you to which was once the village of Seneca Falls. Now, of course, we are the town of Seneca Falls. Go USA as we continue to dominate. China's got us by a couple of medals, but there's still time to beat those Chinese. You know, you got to say that as an American, you certainly got to be proud of all of our Olympic athletes, whether they medaled or not. They're giving their best shot for the country. But I think the story of a young lady named Meg Musnicki needs to be talked about. She's a girl that grew up in Naples. She went to Canandaigua Academy. After Canandaigua, she went to St. Lawrence for some of her collegiate work, transferred out of St. Lawrence, went to nearby Ithaca College, where she graduated. Of course, she was a member of the women's 8 rowing competition, the competition that the American ladies dominate, and they continue that domination. Talk about a local girl making good. Kudos to a lady named Meg Musnicki. Speaking of amazing achievements, how about Michael Phelps? When you leave the Olympics in 2012, he will be the most decorated Olympian ever in the history of the games. 22 medals, 18 gold for his swimming accomplishments. Pretty amazing. As far as the Olympics, to me, there is no room for cheating. And certainly in the world of badminton, yes, we're talking about badminton on this show, the young ladies from China, South Korea, and Indonesia should be ashamed of themselves, as they have been disqualified from competition because they laid down trying to lose their matches to get a better draw in the event. As far as I'm concerned, there's no room for any mercy on this. If I was the head of the Olympic Committee, I would not only ban them for 2012, I'd ban those ladies for life, never letting them back in any future Olympics. There is no excuse for trying to cheat just to get a better draw. Shame, shame, shame. Well, I don't think Jeff Gordon is too upset as we move this topic to the world of racing. Jeff has had sort of an up and down year. He's had a few good finishes, but he's been fumbling, bumbling, stumbling, as Chris Verman would say. But yesterday, he was in the right spot at the right time as the racing series took him to Pocono in Pennsylvania, Long Pond, PA to be exact. Jimmy Johnson, who dominated that race, making around the curve, all of a sudden he bangs into Matt Kenseth. They get themselves into a little scuffle. Guess what? Who's on the inside taking the lead? The 24 car, the DuPont car of Jeff Gordon. Why is that important? Because above, in the back of Jeff Gordon's car, the skies were looking dark, and they got darker. Started to rain, intensified, lightning. They had a horrific storm. I believe there were a couple injuries there with fans. That's how bad the weather was. Guess what? 20 minutes after the rain started and the lightning hit, NASCAR officials called the race official. Jeff Gordon, your 2012 Pocono champion, and I'm sure Jeff Gordon will be the first to say, I'll take it. So you Jeff Gordon fans, I got to be dancing in the streets or dancing in the rain this morning. Speaking of racing, this is a big week for local racing fans, enthusiasts. You're getting ready to head out to the Glen. It's coming up Watkins Glen weekend down there in the famed track nearby Watkins Glen, as they will host the Sprint Cup Series. Of course, Tony Stewart, all the big names obviously will be in town at Watkins Glen. I know a lot of the area fans check it out. They get their little pop-up tents. They make a big weekend out of it. My good friend Dave Millis and his family from Geneva, New York, they make an annual ritual to go to the Glen weekend. And if Dave Millis finds out about me talking about him, please tell him that I hope him and his family have a great weekend, as they make that a must-do, checking out Watkins Glen, as the greatest racers in the world will be at the Glen. My only comment to you is have fun, and if you're going to have a few adult beverages, stay off the roads. This is Weber on Sports on a Monday. We got a lot more topics to talk about. We'll take a break and hear from our great sponsors that make this show possible. I'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. It's the Dog with you. Thank our great sponsors for supporting Weber on Sports. Without them, obviously, we would not have a show, so I do thank them from the bottom of my heart. Let's stay on racing for a minute. There's a big announcement made over the news media the last couple of days. A.J. Allmendinger, who had $1 million job racing for Roger Penske, one of the great guys in the world of racing as an owner. A.J. took a little bit of something that was a not approved substance and got himself proving positive for a drug test. Not a good thing. So he was immediately suspended. They did another shot of giving A.J. Allmendinger a shot of proving that that first test wasn't correct. However, the second test also proved that what he consumed, and I don't know what the name of the drug was, but then, of course, he entered the rehab program. The question was whether or not he would survive his valuable seat with the Roger Penske team. And, of course, Roger Penske did what you would expect him to do. He terminated A.J. Allmendinger from that car. And now, of course, he's still in the rehab program, but he's without a seat. And you know how tough it is to get a seat in the Sprint Cup Series? Real tough. So I would think that A.J. Allmendinger has ruined his racing career. Here's a guy making over $1 million a year, celebrity race driver, and he found a way to screw it up. And I know we can talk to the cows come home about that drug was not something that was a bad thing. According to NASCAR, he needs to read the rules book because obviously it is a bad thing. Allmendinger, I have no mercy for the kid. I'm sorry. Let's move my attention to the world of baseball. Some bizarre, some unbelievable events taking place. Some historic things taking place. How about a guy who plays for the LA Angels named Kendrys Morales? Kendrys Morales has been sort of in a slump for the Angels and Mike Scioscia this year. But the other night, he has gone down in Major League Baseball history as only the third switch hitter to hit 2 home runs in the same inning. Big deal? How about if it's a big deal if one was from the right side and one was from the left side? In the same inning, Kendrys Morales of the LA Angels, setting baseball history, only the third ever to do that. You talk about odds, that is unbelievable. Well, I think something's even more bizarre than that. Are we ready for some Rod Serling music? The Twilight Zone? Ooh, this is scary. A couple of kids named B.J. Upton, who plays for Tampa Bay, and Justin Upton, his brother, plays for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Where is Weber going with this story? Well, let's flash back to last Friday night. They were playing their respective baseball positions for their respective teams. Of course, BJ in the American League, and of course his brother Justin in the National League. BJ hits a home run on Friday night. You're saying, Big deal, Weber. Where are you going with this story? Oh, by the way, on the West Coast, over in Arizona, Justin Upton hits a home run. Big deal, Weber. Where are you going with this story? Let me tell you where I'm going with this story. Both hitting a home run on Friday night, right? It happens to be their 100th of their respective careers on the same night. A milestone in the world of baseball, reaching the 100 home run plateau. Two brothers hit the identical shots and both achieved the 100 on the very same evening. Alfred Hitchcock, where are you when we need you? That, to me, folks, has to go down as one of the most bizarre moments in the world of baseball. We're going to switch back to the world of golf now. Well, you have to say Matt Dijon and Bill McDermott were probably favored to make it to the finals. They did. And amidst some threatening skies, they played the final 18 yesterday. It was actually 36, 18 at Geneva, 18 at Seneca Lake, where they finished up. And your 2012 Geneva City Golf Champion, Bill McDermott, the champion. Congratulations to Bill from Weber on Sports and FingerLakes1.com, based here in Seneca Falls. Matt Dijon was going for 3 in a row. Bill McDermott, who's won that championship previously, captures the 2012 edition. Well, I don't know about you, but let's switch to Firestone. Go out to the PGA Tour. The very rich World Golf Championship played on the famed Firestone Golf Course, par 70. Oh, by the way, I must tell you, Tiger had a okay week, finished 4 under, made some putts. And, of course, you know, we spent some time talking about Tiger and Tiger and Tiger. Oops, how about the guys that were leading the tournament? Oh, we're going to get to that in a minute. Oh, these networks are brutal, aren't they? But here's a guy named Jim Furyk, who, of course, is known now for blowing the U.S. Open at Olympia Club out in Washington this past June. Jim Furyk takes the lead on the very first hole of the tournament. Of course, they start on Thursday. He led that tournament for 71 holes, hitting his irons crisply, knocking the ball down the middle of the fairway, putting the ball beautifully. It was all Jim Furyk. Jim Furyk, Jim Furyk, Jim Furyk. Jim on the 18th hole gets lucky yesterday. I watched it on DVR, I taped it and watched it later. Furyk hits his tee shot, hits a tree in the left-hand side of the fairway, off the fairway. It bounces back. But they were playing pick, clean, and place, meaning you can pick the ball up, clean it, and place it one club length, either left or right, no closer to the hole. Furyk, using his driver, got the ball further out in the fairway, looking right down at the green, a $175 downwind. He goes with a 7-iron. He nailed the 7-iron. It not only doesn't go in the sand trap past the green, it goes in the rough just over the green. Keegan Bradley, one shot behind, hits a shot, airborne, to the bunker, fried egg, buried lie. Advantage, Furyk, leading by 1, keep in mind. Stricker is finished at 12 under. Furyk's at 14. Now, Furyk's got a shot to go over the bunker somewhere on the green. It's a shot, folks, that I could have hit, believe it or not. I'm pretty good with a flop wedge. What happens? Furyk hits it over the bunker, but leaves it in the rough. Up next comes Bradley. Fried egg. Blasts it out of there, somehow keeps it on the green 20 feet away. Furyk now chips. Furyk leaves it 6 feet short. Bradley, who's been making everything coming down the stretch, rolls in a 20-footer for 4. Are you ready? He's at 13 under, finished. Furyk now putting for bogey from 6 feet, doesn't scare the hole, runs it by the hole 6 feet, makes it coming back, doubles the 18th hole, loses a heartbreaker. I mean, they say the Lord tests us human beings. The Lord looks upon us and tests us every so often. You think he's testing Jim Furyk with the collapse on the 16th hole, the par 5 at the U.S. Open, where he's had that tournament in his hands, and now at the World Golf Championship in Firestone, he had that tournament, leading the event, folks, by all the way through 71 holes. Oops, somebody forgot to tell Jim it's a 72-hole event. You talk about Heartbreak City. Mr. Jim Furyk will take his act to Kiawah Island for the PGA starting up on Thursday. On the web.com, they used to be the nationwide, the minor leagues of the Pro Golf Tour. A young man, a graduate out of Virginia, named Ben Coles, and no, I've never heard of him before the last 2 weeks. Why is this important? Ben Coles, on the nationwide tour, the web.com tour they call it now, has won his first 2 events. That's right. Kid out of University of Virginia wins the first 2 events on the web.com tour. Keep playing like that, he may very well be up in the big leagues real soon. And of course, I was picking on Phil Mickelson about his unbelievable lack of ability to get the ball in the fairway. I watched a lot of this tournament, the WGC at Firestone, and I'm going to tell you something, folks. Jimmy Senecropi hits a lot straighter than Phil Mickelson. I have yet figured out where Phil is going. We all kid about him hiring Butch Harmon. He's been his coach for years. Rumor has it, Butch Harmon gets $5,000 a day from Phil Mickelson when he comes to town. That seems like a lot of money to you and me, but when you're a multimillionaire, $5,000 is like pennies. But Mickelson pays him $5,000 a day as a swing coach. That's a lot of cash. Do you think Butch might be able to work with Phil to find a fairway? In the WGC, where Phil finished +4 for the 72 holes, he hit 22% of the fairways in 4 rounds. I watched it, and it was hilarious. All you saw Phil do is hit his tee shot and go like this. Or go like this. He never went this way, down the middle. It is amazing, incredible to me that a guy who's won 40 tournaments in his career, namely Phil Mickelson, plus 4 majors, could be that far off on his driving game. And it isn't like he's not spending time with Butch Harmon. He spends lots of time with Butch. You think he might want to decide to get a new coach? Maybe hire Conan O'Brien or somebody like that, or Jay Leno? Somebody to figure out what Mickelson is doing off the tee. It isn't like he's just missing the fairway by a few yards. He is missing these fairways by 30 yards, right and left. Can't wait to see how he's going to play at Kiawah Island, don't you? With the wind blowing off that ocean come Thursday. Truly amazing. By the way, the PGA, the final of the Big 4 majors is playing this week at Kiawah Island. We talked about that. Of course, that is well known for the 91 Ryder Cup, the war on the shore, they called it. I'm not sure who's going to win it, but I'm going to say Tiger Woods for whatever reason. I have no clue. Tiger seems to be playing better, and he can work the ball right and left, so I'm going to pick Tiger Woods as my pick. Well, turning to closer to home, the Newark Pilot baseball season is now ended. They lost the first 2 games against Glens Falls, a game that we telecast or webcast on Saturday night with temperatures bordering on 110 in the broadcast booth above Coburn Park. But hey, Newark trailed 2-0, had an 8-4 lead. They got a grand slammer from Rodrigue to tie it up 8-8. And then, of course, they get a 2-run shot in the top of the 9th to beat Newark 10-8, ending Newark's season. Newark, of course, was the defending champion of the Perfect Game Collegiate Baseball League. Yes, we're sad about Newark's season coming to an end, but I know the Omens are going to work along with Brian Connell, their general manager, to make that entertainment express even better next year. So we really enjoyed our connection with Newark this year. We enjoyed our 9 visits to cover those games. We look forward to expanding it maybe in 2013. So to all the Newark Pilots, kudos to you. You had a great season. I know you're disappointed with losing, but hey, that's the game of sport. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And if you want a good poster boy for that, check out Jim Furyk, who played golf this week at the WGC, leading 71 straight holes, only doubling the last hole to lose in heartbreak fashion. And by the way, Amsterdam game against Mohawk Valley rained out last night. That series tied 1-1. Game 3 will be scheduled tonight in Amsterdam. The winner, of course, will take on Glens Falls for the championship of the Perfect Game Collegiate Baseball League. Well, coming up on the Dog and Paulie Show, we always talk about our good friend Bob Fuller, the comedian who always comes in here with one-liners. He won't disappoint us this Wednesday. Paul is off this week, so myself and Jimmy will double-team Bob Fuller, the general manager of the Seneca Falls Country Club, as he pays his monthly visit talking about the country club, and we'll talk about some rules as well. And I found it kind of ticklish that they took the poll of the upcoming college football season in the Big East, and Jimmy, of course, a graduate of Syracuse University, got Rodney Dangerfield sort of treatment. No respect. The Orangemen picked by their fellow Big East members to finish just ahead of Shirley Temple. Talk about a slap in the face. You know, as far as I'm concerned, I always pick on Doogie Marrone because I still don't believe he's the guy for that job, and I'll continue to tell you that until I see some progress. Doogie Marrone has got to have an 8-win season this year to have any credibility in the world of football as they get ready to move to the ACC. I don't think 6 or 7 will cut it. Their schedule's not that difficult. Bring us 8 wins, Doogie Marrone. And the only guy that's oblivious to the way the Syracuse football program has been playing is their AD, who's oblivious to everything, Dr. Dale Gross. He needs to get a life and check out the win column. And I love his comment last year after they blew when they were 5-2 and they lost 5 straight to go 5-7, not making a bowl game when 192 schools play in bowls, just making fun of Syracuse. How does Daryl Gross come out and say, Doogie Marrone is my man? Let's see 8 wins, guys. Take care, everybody. Join us Wednesday morning for the Dog and Paulie Show. Thanks to my great sponsors. Thanks to you for checking us out. That's a look at sports my way.